This week, I wanted to talk about flowers. Not how to grow them or which varieties did best this year, but why I grow them and why they've become such an important part of my life. Because over the last few years, flowers have turned into an organizing principle for me, a way to create, to express myself, to share beauty with other people, and to feel connected to the good things in life, even when the world feels heavy. You're going to see a lot of flowers today. All the arrangements I grew and made this year, in fact, in order from spring till fall. But to understand why they matter so much to me, I need to tell you how I got here. Back in 2020, like a lot of people, I spent a lot of time playing Animal Crossing. And my favorite part wasn't the house or the outfits or shaking the trees to get fruit. It was the flowers. I loved growing them and breeding them, trying to make gold and black and blue roses. I loved checking on them every day to see what had changed overnight. That winter, I started watching flower videos on YouTube, and somewhere in there I started to think, maybe I could do this in real life. So in 2021, I tried. I was living in a rental house with a small yard. I couldn't change much, but there were a few sunny spots where I could put grow bags, and that was enough. All I grew were zinnias, cosmos, and snapdragons. I didn't really know what I was doing, and still, I made the sweetest little bouquets. It turns out it's actually kind of hard to mess up a bouquet when the flowers are fresh from your own garden. In the fall of 2021, I had surgery to address some chronic pain I'd been living with for years. And my recovery took time. My body didn't feel like a safe place for a while. While I healed, going outside, cutting flowers, and arranging them on my sunny side porch became a way to tell my nervous system, "You're okay, babe. You're here. You're safe." I didn't have language for it then, but I know now that tending my flowers was helping me come back into my body. In the spring of 2022, I was ready to go all in. I ordered tons more seeds, more varieties, more colors, more challenges. I had big plans. But then my big brother died suddenly, and I went into a tailspin. He was the last person who knew me as a kid, who remembered the chaotic life our family lived after we lost our mom too young, who really got how all of that shaped our paths. My last link to my history, my best champion, my dear friend. Losing him dropped me straight back into the hardest parts of my childhood. For months, I barely functioned, and flowers were the last thing on my mind. But at some point, I went outside and scattered a packet called Cut Flower Garden in a Can into one of my beds. I did not tend it carefully, but still, there were flowers. That barely tended, grief-soaked garden gave me bouquets and glimpses of joy all season. Even in the middle of everything falling apart, there were still flowers. In 2023, we were displaced from our home and had to move quickly. The rental we found was quiet and peaceful, but it barely got any sun, so I joined a community garden. 45 square feet of sunshine and soil. I had to drive there whenever I wanted to plant or water or harvest, and somehow it was my best flower year yet. I showed up again and again, and the flowers showed up too. In 2024, I learned about cool flowers, and I went to my plot to plant some on March 1st. On March 2nd, I woke up with intense, unexplained vertigo. I went to the ER. No one knew what was wrong, and nothing really helped. For weeks, I stayed in bed. It wasn't until late April that I started feeling better. And even though I had to do everything in the tiniest steps possible, driving, planting, harvesting, with more breaks than action, there were still flowers, more color, more variety, and more abundance than I'd ever grown before. At the beginning of 2025, I bought a house for the first time in my life, in my 50s. And with it, I finally had something I'd never had before, a garden that was entirely mine. Not borrowed, not temporary, not negotiated around shade or leases or landlord rules, just mine. I didn't set out to make the fanciest garden or the most impressive one. All I wanted was a garden that felt like me, a place where I could follow my curiosity throughout the years, plant what I love, learn slowly, make mistakes and let them teach me, all without rushing and without expectation. And that's exactly what I did. This year, I grew all the flowers you've seen here today, every single blossom. And as I worked and paid attention and asked questions and solved problems, something happened to me. I began to feel more peace than I ever have. Not because everything was suddenly fine, not because the world got easier, just because day after day, I had a place where I could show up, put my hands in the soil, and work with life. Even now, with everything going on in the world, the uncertainty, the noise, the hatred, and the fear, all of that still exists. And still, there are flowers. This year, I've grown hundreds of them. Roses, snapdragons, zinnias, celosia, clematis, lisianthus. So many I can't even name them all. And I've grown patience. appreciation, a tangible trust that tending something small and living actually matters. I pour myself into these flowers, and they give something back to me, a rhythm to my days, a reason to step outside, a reminder that beauty does not need permission to exist. Life wants to live, and I want to live. So I will keep growing flowers. I will keep choosing color and texture and grace, not as an escape from the frightening parts of this life, but as an act of hope, a reminder that beauty persists alongside the fear. It always has and always will. And so I choose to pour as much of myself as I can into it. And if you've been walking alongside me here, well, thank you for being part of this season.